Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz Interview Series with Kansas City jazz composer and vibraphonist Isaiah Petrie. Originally from Arizona, he found his way through the Midwest to Kansas City. He started his jazz journey late in life, in high school, but he is well on his way in a scene full of great, talented cats here in Kansas City. He's got a great story that is just beginning and destined for greatness. Dig his story.
So, hey, first of all, thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it. Looking forward to kind of peeling back the layers of your life and your role in the Kansas City jazz community.
Yeah, man, I'm excited.
Let's start with, what's going on with you these days? What kind of activity? I know with COVID and everything that happened for the last couple of years, how did you survive that COVID period? And how have things opened up now that we're heading into a new year and things are opening up?
Interesting. So for me, COVID was actually a very creative period. So right now I'm still in school, and at that point I was actually not in Kansas City. I was in Manhattan and in Kansas, and I was just spending all that time practicing, just trying to get better at my craft and, just creating new thoughts and ideas. Yeah, no, that time was very resourceful for me, just for me to really learn about, just get deeper into music, be able to really dig in and not worry about having to get ready for whatever else. It was just a lot of time for me just to really think. But other than that, getting out of COVID, now that things are starting to open up, I'm seeing that. I mean, honestly, I've seen the scene it's just more, it's more charitable. I think in the scene, people are more open to newer ideas, especially with cats I'm thinking about Eddie Moore and Ryan Lee, Matt Billinger, Peter Slam, those cats. Just things are starting to, at least musically, expand in a new way that at least I haven't really seen from the scene, especially in those the midst of the middle of COVID. The scene was very scared to play music that people would be not liked just because there was so few opportunities to play and stuff. I don't know, it's just great to see this new stuff happen and come up and start to be a part of it. So, yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the beginnings. Talk to me about where you were born and raised and how, you got involved with music. What was the first instrument and how did it all take off?
It's funny. So I was born in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, in this county called Glensdale, I believe. Yeah, no, don't talk about it too much. But yeah, no, honestly, music it's interesting because I was not necessarily musically trained when I was young. I spent a lot of time, being a kid, but also I think my main musical influence was just mostly my family. My family had owned a church for I think around 20 or 30 years, and every Sunday would be my mother and my uncles just playing in the church in the band. And I think most of my musical upbringing was underneath that, just absorbing that that sound and that feeling and that sort of inspiration. I don't know how best to explain it, just the feeling of just bigness, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. But I think my first musical endeavor was actually just this small little drumline high stepper group. I can't remember the name of it right now. I played in when I was 11. That really just, it was more of just a casual thing. It was just a thing. It's oh yeah, I just wanted to, my cousin, my big cousin at the time, he used to live with us and he played drums all the time. So it's oh shoot, I should, maybe if I could, I want to kind of start doing that and understanding that. So that was kind of my first start at understanding how to play music. And it was not necessarily I don't think I actually got into anything concert band or classical music until I was about 13 or 14, so not too much longer, but it wasn't really anything that like I was meant to get into. Like I didn't even start reading music until I was in 7th grade. And, that was just like, for me, like that start, I feel like I'm kind of lucky. I mean, not lucky as I know some cats who have been playing for like, since they were like 2 years old, but like, I feel lucky that I was able to start without like having that a sort of classical understanding first, not because like if there's something wrong with it, it's like bad music, but I just believe that there's something so much more like deep and like driven about like learning music by ear and like feeling it and like having the emotion guide where you're gonna take the music next rather than trying to like fit a certain form, I guess is what I'm getting at. So that was very integral to me. But yeah, I didn't really get into music until really about like high school, and it was just like a thing I did. It wasn't really anything that I kind of wanted to aspire to until like my junior year. It was like, oh, I'm kind of good at this, so I guess I'll just I'll go with this now. I guess that kind of drive. Like I'm the type of person where I will always like if I want to do something, I'm like going to do it at the like highest level that I could possibly like imagine or achieve. So it's like always trying to expand like how high I see, I guess.
Well, the vibes is kind of a niche kind of a thing. Why the vibes, and who have been some influences on the instrument that have kind of inspired you?
I guess I didn't talk about like how I got into vibes. So back in high school, that was when I got really deep into classical music, just playing a lot of like marimba solos and trying to compose for the first time. For one reason or another, I wanted to start like composing rather than like, because I compose a lot of like solo marimba pieces. Then I wanted to compose like percussion ensembles, so I took it upon myself to like start learning each different instrument, how each like instrument can sound to its fullest. So since I had such a sort of deep understanding of the marimba, which was like my main instrument, like classically, I wanted to look at the vibraphonist because I thought it was just like kind of like a natural progression from that instrument. Part of me like didn't like hate it actually at first. Like I just did not like the tambourine instrument. I thought it was too bright. I thought it was too pingy and it didn't have much like melody to me. But I still like wanted to pursue it just because like I knew that if I wanted to, like I said, if I wanted to like learn how to write percussion ensembles to the best of my ability, I would need to understand all the instruments that I would put into it so that I can like effectively create something. I think part of it was just like getting a lot of experience with the vibraphone. So since I was practicing so much marimba, I needed a reason to practice vibraphone. So I decided to join the school jazz band, and that's when I first had my first kind of like interaction with jazz. Actually was just like, I think that was actually the second semester of my junior year. So I was, it's been not too much time since I started, but it is what it is. But that was the first experience I had with the instrument, really trying to make it into something that I could really express myself with, because I believe that, in order to really understand instruments, I have to be able to express myself to the best of my ability. Yeah, that's basically just where it started. And then after a while, I kept just like playing the instrument, and it kind of took a turn during my like first semester of college, or second semester, first year of college, I should say. I was really starting to fall out of like love with the marimba, and I started really digging into like the vibraphone, because I really started to understand what jazz music was. So that's kind of just how I started. Honestly, a lot of and kind of segue into the next point, a lot of the people I was listening on vibraphone then was like Milt Jackson, like Bobby Hutcherson, like the two main jazz vibists from like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Like those were like very much like the cast that I try to like gear my sound around and make my voice like sort of attuned with like how that interacted, because I when I was learning this music, I kind of took it from a very like analytical approach. So I would like very take a lot of time just to like analyze like everything that they were doing and like how they were phrasing and like why did they play, you know, this blues lick here, but like this alto dominant then, even though I didn't understand what that meant, but like these different sounds, like and why did they do these at these certain times? You know, why would they do it? Play like this solo, you know, on, you know, what, like All the Things You Are, rather than playing this type of solo slash sound on, like, you know, Moment's Notice. It's just like a thing of like understanding like what they were coming from and what story they were really trying to tell, even though, you know, I didn't understand all this at that point, but it was just something now I really understand. I was just trying to understand what this music actually meant and how could I, you know, first get myself into it, but like then start creating my voice to it.
No, I was just trying to find a lineage of like from Arizona. You mentioned Manhattan. You're in Kansas City now. How did that timeline happen?
Oh, honestly, my family just moves around a lot. So we lived in Arizona for about, I was only like 2 years old when I moved from there. From there, I moved to like Columbia, Missouri, Jefferson City, and we only stayed there for about like like 8-10 years, like not like a whole lot of time. And we did move around a lot in that area. So it was really, I think I was about like 12, so like in 2013, I believe, that's when we decided to move to Overland Park, and I've just kind of been here ever since. Honestly, I haven't really been in this scene for much too long. Like, I think my first encounter with like the music in the scene was about like, I think about 3-4 years ago. So, you know, not a whole lot of time, but I have been like trying to like learn from everybody in the scene as much as possible. So,
what do you like the best about the Kansas City jazz scene?
My favorite part about Kansas City jazz is just like the diversity of musicians and like sort of ideas of what good music is. So I could go into like, say, the Ship Foundation or the Blue Room one day and be, you know, listening to like some really great like R&B, and then the next week is you know, a bunch of cats like swinging with some like, you know, great standards, or even like people making their own original music. And then, you know, like even with Marcus Lewis's big band, like that whole concept of that big band is like hip hop and brass and bougie, I should preface. The whole concept of that band is like hip hop and like jazz fusion. So it's like this new, it's really this sound that I haven't really heard like explored by really anyone else, particularly in this scene, but like anywhere else like in the world. Like it was the first experience for me. So it's just the diversity of just like kinds of good music.
So talk to me a little bit about gigs that are happening now, what you see your future in Kansas City being as we move forward.
Right now, most of my gigs are just like I think I'm pretty fortunate to be where I am. I've been just a few weeks ago. I got to play with Eddie Moore, Ryan Lee, and Seth Lee with my own quartet at the Westport Coffee House, and that was. I don't want to sound full of myself. I think it was a great time and a great show. So, and a lot of my gigs actually kind of, well, not all of them, but some of them turn out to be that way. Like recently, I've been playing a lot in Westport Coffee House. Got a few dates for that place in the next coming weeks, and got a few dates for the Blue Room like this Monday there's the jam session, and one of the bands I'm playing with, DJ Quartet, having a jam, hosting the jam session, and I feel really fortunate to get to play there, and also just like be a part of that, the lineage of that space. But yeah, most of my gigs are just like that kind of thing, and regular like restaurant gigs and corporate events and whatever. But my future, sort of like concerned in my future in KC, I'm thinking that I'm really wanting to like start expanding on my sort of musical vision. So I am a composer. I like to write. I've been wanting to like really display my music just for different people and different venues and different places. And my main thing that I really want to get at my music is just to be able to like make people like feel good, but show them like something like big, like give them whatever feeling that either my composition or like the people up there can feel, like really get deep into like the essence of like what the emotion I want to convey is of my music. And that's been like really the main focus of what I want to achieve, is like really achieve like an emotional connection between what I'm playing and the audience. Like, are they feeling the feeling that I am conveying? No? Well, okay, well, let me step back and see why that's not happening, or why I can do better to really make that feeling like more concentrated and more palpable for the audience. So that's just like been kind of my vision of what I want to do in KC.
Everyone out there has this perception of you, your family, your friends, those that see you play, but ultimately you live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I just think I'm a musician, just trying to get better every day, trying to, both in my music and both in my, personal life. It's one of the things I like to think about, is just like trying to be better each day. Like what's like one thing that I can do today to, either whatever it is, like play the standard better, or what can I do to make this situation better, or what can I do to make my relationships better. It's just trying to take each day like one at a time and really make the best of it. So yeah, my perception is just like I'm a musician, but also I'm just a person just trying to make people happy. That's just like my main goal in life, is just be able to spread joy and spread love and kindness in any way I can, and be my own self.
Well, Isaiah, if anybody wants to know more about you, any gigs, anything, that might be on the horizon, whether it's music or anything else, where's the best place for them to go? And I guess that's what I should ask before this. Any plans on having any recorded music or collaborating with anybody here this year?
No recorded music for me personally. One of the bands I'm in, the same band I mentioned before, DJ Quartet, has just released our first record on the 27th. It's called Visions External. It's on Spotify. And if people want to check that out, that'd be great. But that's what it is. But other than that, I mostly post what's happening with me on Instagram at Isaiah M. Petrie, and my Facebook for the most part. Yeah, so
cool.
No, not anything really happening. Just taking each day, getting what I can, getting gigs where I can, playing where I can, trying to be better. That's all I can say.
Cool, man. Isaiah, hey, thank you for taking time out. Welcome to the Kansas City scene, and hopefully I'll see you out there. We have a real bias towards the vibe at Neon Jazz. We love them, so I'm looking forward to seeing you playing live.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the bright, fine, young minds in Kansas City and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. Thanks to Isaiah for his time and story. If you want to hear more interviews, visit Neon Jazz Interviews at Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube. And you can find everything about Neon Jazz at theneonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.